Tonight, travellers left in limbo as the Territory slams the gate shut on South Australia. Calls for upgrades after a notorious stretch of the Stuart Highway claims another life. Residents shocked after a woman's mysterious death in a quiet Darwin neighbourhood. The homegrown global businessman helping NT map out its road to success. And they've been dubbed the big improvers, how Wanderers changed their NTFL fortunes.
This is 9 News Darwin.
Good evening. The Northern Territory has immediately blocked South Australia as the state faces an escalating COVID-19 situation. The sudden move caught travellers off guard, only told about the hotspot declaration mid-flight and forced into supervised quarantine when they landed.
An hour before two flights from Adelaide were due to touch down, a snap decision from the Chief Minister.
We are declaring South Australia a hotspot for the purposes of travel. That means people who are arriving here from South Australia this morning will be directed into supervised quarantine or given the option of returning to South Australia.
The declaration causing heartbreak for many. This mum and daughter left with no choice but to head to quarantine without the planned family reunion.
Bye-bye, Daddy.
Bye-bye, baby girl. I love you so much.
And a weekend away turning into a 2-week inconvenience for these mates.
With COVID, it's been pretty boring up here. We went down for a mate's birthday. Pretty upsetting, seeing as we booked flights early to come back, but it is what it is.
But with the escalating situation in South Australia, described as the state's biggest test yet, authorities say there's no other option but to close off the NT.
If the virus comes here, I am deeply concerned that we are complacent. The risk is that if the virus comes here, it will spread very quickly.
All the information we're getting right now concerns us, and there is still so much we don't know about this outbreak.
As a result, the statewide declaration is precautionary. The next few days to decide if it'll be narrowed down to a particular region.
The Territory is unique in the world, and it is not through luck. It's through vigilance, it's through measures and controls.
Territorians now urged to step up their hand washing, social distancing and get a test if unwell. Despite some states ordering earlier arrivals into self-isolation, there isn't that direction here yet. But lockdowns remain on the table if an outbreak occurs.
Yes, I would need to necessarily consider a direction that lock down Alice Springs or even Darwin. It would be done quickly and widely.
It wasn't all bad news from Michael Gunner today, though, announcing the 30th of November as the target to reopen to Greater Melbourne. But with Victoria so far resisting closing the door on South Australia, a lot can change in 2 weeks.
And if the risk in Melbourne does suddenly increase to an unacceptable level, we will not hesitate to make a new hotspot declaration.
Kathleen Gazzola, 9 News.
A family's in mourning tonight following the death of a 75-year-old woman in a crash on the Stuart Highway. A string of serious accidents on the stretch of road has prompted police to question whether upgrades are needed.
Debris is all that remains at the scene of a crash which had fatal consequences. The victim identified as 75-year-old Rita Skliros.
Tragically, the 75-year-old woman of the Kluger driver was killed.
The 3-car collision occurred on the Stuart Highway south of Noonamah just before 9 o'clock on Saturday night. Witnesses reportedly saw a silver Toyota Kluger driving erratically moments earlier.
We've spoken to some witnesses this morning, some of whom have described their vehicle as having seen a vehicle travelling in the wrong lane for a number of kilometres prior to that collision having occurred.
It remains unclear how the crash occurred. 2 men, including a 41-year-old and a 53-year-old, were taken to hospital with serious injuries. Excessive
speed, swerving between lanes, travelling for extended periods in the oncoming lane, travelling through a red light intersection.
The area is prone to collisions, and this latest crash has prompted police to investigate if safety upgrades are needed.
There have been a number of collisions, fatal crashes in that area, indeed up and down the Stuart Highway. So we'll be having those discussions in due course.
Police are appealing for witnesses who saw a grey or silver Toyota Kluger in the area on Saturday evening to come forward. Ainsley Koch, 9 News.
And tributes are flowing for a 33-year-old mother who was found dead in her Milner home yesterday morning. Major crime detectives continue to scour the property today, but say at this stage there's no evidence to indicate another person's involvement in the death. A report will be prepared for the coroner. Taxpayers will shell out more than $1 billion after the federal government today agreed to settle a class action lawsuit over its so-called robo-debt welfare recovery scheme. Labor's demanding a royal commission, but the government still denies it did anything wrong.
A joyous day for 400,000 Australians.
I will honestly want to cry. I'm so happy for every single person that has ever had to deal with robo-debt.
And a grim one for the government.
We've been paying the money back some $700 million already out of $1.2 billion.
As it settles the biggest class action in Australian legal history on an automated debt recovery system that forced welfare recipients to prove they hadn't been overpaid.
Who have lost their jobs, lost homes, lost rent, divorce.
The government agreed to repay $721 million to about 400,000 people in May. Today's settlement also includes a pledge to forego another $398 million in debts and adds $112 million in compensation, bringing the Commonwealth's total costs to $1.2 billion.
As at yesterday, $705 million had been repaid to 405,000 Australians.
The government says that's the end of it.
The Commonwealth has not accepted or admitted any liability in the matter.
On one hand, they say they make no admissions of liability. On the other hand, they're going to pay $1.2 billion.
Bill Shorten led the charge on this, and he is not finished.
Labor will not stop pushing for a royal commission into robo-debt.
The government wanted to focus today on the $1 billion it's investing with pharmaceutical giant CSL to ensure it builds a state-of-the-art vaccine plant in Melbourne to shore up supply lines of critical goods.
And there can be few more critical than those that apply to vaccines.
But there may be questions about which company builds such a secure facility. Last year, Victorian construction company ProBuild won a contract to build CSL's Melbourne headquarters. In October, the company's South African owner confirmed it was selling ProBuild. 9 News understands that proposed sale is to China State Construction Engineering, and the bid is awaiting Foreign Investment Review Board approval. But today the focus was elsewhere.
Ensuring we have secure supply chains in critical areas.
Chris Ullman, 9 News.
A technology meltdown has brought the Australian Stock Exchange to a standstill. Business reporter Chris Kohler has the latest.
It was a software issue relating to something called combination trading that went haywire behind the scenes at the ASX today. And it was significant enough that the entire stock exchange was pulled offline all day. Nobody able to buy or sell stocks, and no detail given until about 4:15 p.m. about what had gone wrong. The outage stopped billions of dollars in trades going through, and it comes right as the market hits a fresh 8-month high, leaving investors pretty furious.
I think today has been a ruined day and probably has certainly hurt a lot of investors that were obviously wanting to get in and out with such a good lead from Wall Street over the weekend.
It's not a good look for the Australian Stock Exchange. This is the 5th major outage in the last 15 years. The Stock Exchange should be back to normal from tomorrow's open at 10 a.m. Meanwhile, the Australian dollar was still trading, and it's higher at 72.9 US cents, 61.5 euro cents, and a little over 55 British pence.
It's been more than a week since the winner was declared, but for the first time, Donald Trump has publicly acknowledged Joe Biden won the US election. The president, however, insists he's not conceding, hitting the golf course and his social media accounts.
Donald Trump doing what he loves, golfing at his club in Virginia. His group all wearing Trump hats aboard the buggy, the president putting his phone down to tee off after some telling tweets. He won because the election was rigged. No vote watchers or observers allowed. Vote tabulated by a radical left privately owned company, Dominion, with a bad reputation and bum equipment that couldn't even qualify for Texas.
I think that's a start of an acknowledgement.
For a brief moment, the country thought he was conceding before Mr. Trump tweeted again, rigged election, we will win, and another, he only won in the eyes of the fake news media. I concede nothing. We have a long way to go. This was a rigged election.
Is the president right now in this tweet conceding this election? No, far from it. What he's saying is more, I guess you'd call it sarcastic.
Mr. Trump's former national security advisor is now urging Republican leaders to speak up.
To explain to our voters, who are not as stupid as the Democrats think, that in fact Trump has lost the election and that his claims of election fraud are baseless.
Each state now has to make Joe Biden's victory official by certifying their election results before December 14. That's when the Electoral College meets for the final step, formalising the outcome. Plenty of time, according to Donald Trump's legal team, to successfully challenge it.
And we have proof that I can't disclose yet. He's got the best voter fraud plan in the world. Well, he has a really good one, but lucky we caught it.
The president pursuing legal fights as over 1,000 Americans die of coronavirus daily, a 50% jump in the last month.
The last time the president was physically at a task force meeting was several months ago.
President-elect Biden's first move after being declared the winner was announcing his COVID-19 advisory board. After visiting church today, he's preparing to address Americans on the economy tomorrow. In Washington, D.C., Alexis Daish, 9 News.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is in self-isolation after meeting with an MP who's now tested positive for COVID-19. 9 Europe correspondent Curry-Ann Greenbank is at Downing Street with this report on how the leader's doing.
Well, Boris Johnson doesn't have any symptoms, but he was notified by his government's own contact tracing system that he would have to self-isolate for 14 days after a brief 35-minute meeting with a member of parliament who then tested positive for COVID-19. This couldn't have come at a worse time for Boris Johnson, with COVID numbers again peaking in the UK, 2 of his top aides quitting, and renewed Brexit negotiations with the EU meant to start again this week. Now, Boris Johnson has, of course, contracted COVID-19 before. Back in April, he was badly sick and had to spend a number of nights in intensive care. While it is still unclear whether someone can contract COVID twice in 7 months, the Prime Minister says he will continue working from isolation.
A nonsensical discussion. That's how Andrew Liveris has described the push by environmental activists to stop the development of a territory gas industry. The Economic Reconstruction Co-Commissioner in town this week to help put the finishing touches on the group's final report to government.
A meeting of the minds who have been tasked with mapping out the NT's road to success. It's the first face-to-face for the Economic Reconstruction Commission, which due to COVID had been forced to resort to video calls until today. The group now putting the finishing touches on their final report.
We're going to be recommending, the sectors that the territory can invest in, and then the sorts of things that need to be done to create those enablers and get them remedied.
The 10-year strategy aims to build on the territory's existing strengths and industries, but also kickstart what will set up the NT for years to come. Mr Liveris agreeing now is the time to finally capitalise on potential.
There's no absence of money in investors if they see stability of government, transparency of process, speedy approvals and proximity to market. I can check all those boxes.
The Co-Commissioner keen to see a diversification of industries from rare earths and minerals, renewables, hydrogen and digital supply. A big driver being the development of gas, which Mr Liveris says the debate has been captured by environmental activists, calling it nonsensical.
We export the gas, let others convert it, and we buy the finished product in. And all the jobs are overseas. If the environmental activist doesn't want a job, that's fine. They can yell all they want. I'm a practical person. Let's put this all to one side. Let's look at the science. Let's develop the gas fields environmentally responsibly, lower our emissions, convert the gas to useful products, make cheap power, electrify water to make hydrogen. Check, check, check.
And while the small-town Darwin boy turned global businessman is now doing more work with Australian governments, he has in the past worked with United States presidents, including Donald Trump. Mr Liveris complimentary of some of the president's work, but also very welcoming of President-elect Biden.
He will do a phenomenal job rebuilding confidence in the United States of America, which will be only good for Australia. I think we should try to get him to the territory as fast as possible.
The final report will be handed to government by the end of the month. Kathleen Gazzola, 9 News.
Let's go to weather as fast as possible and a quick check with Ainsley Koch. Ainsley, no surprises, still hot and sunny in the top end.
No surprises at all there, PT. We saw hot and muggy conditions across Darwin today, and it's looking to stay that way, but there are some possible storms or maybe some showers on the way from tomorrow. I'll have all the weather details for you later in the bulletin.
Thank you for the update, Ainsley. See you then. Still ahead in 9 News, former NRL star Sam Burgess faces court accused of threatening his father-in-law. A 91-year-old paraglider pilot on the mend after his close call on a cliff. And liftoff for SpaceX with 4 astronauts on board their historic mission. Coming up.
Inside Cottage 3.
It's like an 18th century asylum. There are people in there who are suffering.
South Australia's nursing home disgrace. The damning document confirming an outbreak of scabies.
If you've got a loved one in a residential aged care facility, I suggest you go and check on them.
A current affair next.
We're here for when the heavens open and the winds howl. We're here for when the water just won't stop. We're here for the wet and we're here for the dry. We're here because we know there's nowhere else you'd rather be.
And there's nowhere else we'd rather be either. TIO Home Insurance. We're for Territorians.
The Barbecues Galore Darwin showroom with the big brands in modern outdoor living. Compare the Ziegler and Brown range, plus offset smokers and low and slow barbecues. See the huge Barbecues Galore's showroom at 660 Stewart Highway, Berrima.
At Murray Oakley Discount Electrical Retrovision, we really know our stuff. We're the specialists in a huge range of top brand air conditioning. We're the Angle specialists with a full range of Angle fridges and accessories. And we're Darwin's only Weber specialist dealer. We also offer easy ways to pay. And everything we sell is backed up by our 60-day price promise and lowest price guarantee. Our bigger buying power means bigger savings for you. So come and see Don and the friendly crew, the electrical specialists in Darwin.
Know what you're getting with a Toyota certified used car from Bridge Toyota. A Toyota certified used car comes with a comprehensive inspection by qualified Toyota technicians, a full service history and 12 months of roadside assist. Plus, all of our used cars come with a 7-day money-back guarantee. Check our stock online or visit us at our Darwin or Palmerston branch.
The Origin Decider. Oh my goodness! Everything is on the line. Daniel Topo! Get ready, Australia, for the biggest and most brutal battle. You can feel it coming. Oh! Of them all. What a climax! State of Origin, The Decider. Exclusively live, Wednesday on 9.
9 News Darwin, proudly brought to you by TIO, insurance for Territorians.
Lawyers for former NRL star Sam Burgess have accused his ex-wife and father-in-law of trying to destroy his reputation and career. The two sides faced each other in court today. Mitchell Hook claiming the South Star was wild-eyed when he came at him.
An early morning journey from his eastern suburbs home to a small southern Highlands court. Sam Burgess's legacy and his future in the frame.
Sam, is there any truth to these allegations?
This was the former South Sydney star turned commentator in October last year, sipping beers and posing with fans before he headed to his ex-wife's family home near Bowral. There, Phoebe Burgess's father, Mitch Hook, alleges he stood over him with a pointed finger and yelled, "I'm going to get you." His eyes were wild. They were crazy eyes, he told the court today. As his former son-in-law left, his daughter arrived home and soon after called police.
He has threatened and abused my father. It's Sam Burgess, so it can't be made public, but I just need to report it because he's still in the area and he's really angry.
Today, Ms Burgess confirmed she phoned 2 lawyers before that call, but denied it was for legal advice, and that she released her police statement to the Australian newspaper a month ago, leading to front-page splashes alleging domestic violence and drug use, which he denied. So I was not covering up and contributing to a system that I believe failed myself and failed Sam Burgess, she said. The defence put to Mr Hook that he was the one arguing with Burgess and that he said to him, "I will destroy your career if it's the last thing I do." He denied that and suggestions he had subsequently taken steps to do just that. The ordeal not over, the hearing to resume next year. Kelly Fedor, 9 News.
A 91-year-old paraglider has found himself at the centre of a rescue operation after crashing beside cliffs on Sydney's northern beaches. Joss Botts spoke to 9 News from his hospital bed today, praising the heroes who pulled him from the water and saved his life.
The final, sweet steps to safety.
Keep going. Good speed.
91-year-old Joss Botts harnessed up and hiking home after crashing his paraglider on Sydney's northern beaches.
I went down like a rock and I just hit the rock face with my feet and fell in the water.
The experienced paraglider has been flying for 40 years, but ran into trouble just before 6 o'clock last night. He tumbled from the skies.
We found him stranded on a rock shelf with an incoming tide.
With cuts and an injured wrist, Joss was able to make the steep walk out with a few helping hands. But it's the bystanders who pulled him from the water who he says saved his life.
They're the real heroes. I owe them my life, that's for sure.
For a 91-year-old gentleman to A, be continuing paragliding at his age and B, able to self-extricate himself out, it's an amazing job by him. It just goes to show that you can do anything at any age.
Mr Botts is a daredevil at heart. The sport has taken him around the world.
I'm flying here in the Nevada desert and I'm pretty high up.
Joss says not even a trip to hospital will scare him away from the sport he loves. He plans to be back in the air as soon as he can.
It's wonderful being up there.
Lauren Tomasi, 9 News.
It's pretty amazing stuff. NASA's first fully fledged expedition with a privately owned spacecraft has launched into history. 4 astronauts have been sent into orbit aboard the SpaceX-designed capsule. The milestone mission has a special Aussie connection.
It's a new beginning for America's space program and a replacement for the shuttle, a SpaceX rocket taking 4 crew members to the International Space Station. It was a perfect nighttime launch, watched by a small crowd, including Vice President Mike Pence. And significant because now NASA is partnering with private enterprise. In this case, Tesla creator Elon Musk's SpaceX Corporation. He builds the rockets, and NASA now pays him for the ride into space.
It's been 18 years working towards this goal, so it's hard to believe that it's happened.
The pandemic has become a major threat to the project, while SpaceX tried to keep the huge engineering and flight team healthy.
I think all of us can agree that 2020 has certainly been a challenging year. Global pandemic, economic hardships, civil unrest, isolation.
The one woman on board is Shannon Walker, the wife of Australian former astronaut Andy Thomas, and he was there today to farewell her. Well on its way into space, the Falcon rockets, having done their job, dropped away, and another spectacular achievement, both floating back to land on barges off the Florida coast. In many ways, it's just the start of a new era for US space exploration. There are plans to return to the moon by 2024, and eventually human exploration on Mars. In Los Angeles, Robert Penfold, 9 News.
It is another world, that's for sure. Well, buy now, pay later. The staggering number of us using payment services are warning about the hidden sting. See how Australia's first airline celebrates 100 years of flying. And later, here's a voice of the NRL. Now, Fatty Vaughton opens up about his frightening health scare.
Sunday, it's auction day.
Australia, this is it.
On television's biggest night of the year.
It's over to you, guys. I'm in your hands.
5 5 incredible family homes go under the hammer.
Sold!
Who
Yes!
will
Third and final call.
win TV's biggest prize?
What just happened?
The Block Grand Finale Auction, Sunday 7 o'clock on 9.
Tomorrow, she's the Queen of Country, a rolled gold legend, and Carl catches up with the extraordinary Dolly Parton.
And speaking of legends, tech god Trevor Long is here with the latest smart speakers being released just for Christmas. We'll see you from 5:30.
At Joyce Main, keep it cool with Fujitsu and get a cracking bonus. This Fujitsu room-size split system air conditioner just $788, plus get a bonus $100 digital prepaid MasterCard. Or this big, beautiful 7.1 kilowatt Fujitsu split system, hot price plus bonus $150 digital prepaid MasterCard. And there's more. Get 60 months interest free with a bonus gift card up to $500. But you better hurry. Keep it cool. Fujitsu bonus deals, limited time at Joyce Main.
Hi, Shane here from Able Insurance Services. As your local experts, we're able to provide insurance solutions for home and motor, trades, business, as well as personal accident. Now more than ever, it's important to assess your expenses. Don't think your existing provider is giving you the best deal. Let us fight for you, even if that means with your existing provider. So remember, we can't act, but we sure know insurance.
Gateway has the greatest gifts this Christmas. Kick some goals with new sports gear, find the coolest sunnies, or snap up a flashy camera. It's time to party. Make it the best Christmas ever at Gateway. The new look Casuarina All Sports Club. Superb menu, delicious steak menu with entertainment for all ages. Membership available. Come in and see for yourself. Casuarina All Sports Club on Trower Road.
We've got everything you need at Mower World Darwin, stocking all the big brands and models, including Husqvarna outdoor power equipment, Skag ZTR, Massport, Yamaha golf carts, Husqvarna construction equipment, plus lots more. And keep your eye out for our Husqvarna catalogue that's out now, plus the backing of our sales, service, parts and accessories divisions. We at Mower World Darwin have you covered. Mower World Darwin, Stewart Highway, Berrima, next to Camping World Darwin.
Australia's sinking home scandal. Angry families blame council over a faulty stormwater pipe for destroying their houses. A current affair next.
Proof today of just how fast the buy now pay industry is growing. And while Australians are rushing to use the services, there's a sting for consumers. Eddie Meyer has the details.
There's little doubt Aussies have embraced the concept of buying now and paying later. How much? Well, the corporate regulator ASIC has done the numbers. From 16.8 million transactions in the 2017-2018 financial year to 32 million the following year, almost double. The revenue in 2018-2019, a staggering $398 million. But here's the warning. Buy now, pay later is marketed as a budgeting tool to make purchases more affordable. But while users avoid fees for paying on time, 1 in 5 are missing payments, and the penalty fees they incur have also jumped up 38% to $43 million. ASIC says 20% of users are cutting back on essentials such as meals to use the services. 15% are taking out other loans to clear the debt.
The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall have completed their first overseas trip since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, attending events in Germany on its National Day of Mourning. The unprecedented visit comes as the UK looks to strengthen friendships with its European neighbours, weeks out from a Brexit deadline.
What was once enemy territory, Prince Charles was breaking new ground. The future king becoming the first in his family to attend Berlin's main remembrance service 75 years after the bloody battle between Britain and Germany came to an end.
Our two countries have been restored to our natural position of allies and friends.
Touching down in Berlin on the Duke's 72nd birthday, Charles and Camilla were on a mission. Their first overseas visit in more than 8 months was aimed at strengthening ties with Germany as the UK prepares to leave the European Union.
The visit has been seen as a form of soft diplomacy on behalf of the UK government. Germany is considered a powerful voice in the EU and an important British ally as Brexit trade talks go down to the wire.
Wir werden immer Freunde.
Speaking in German, Charles promised that even after the January 1 transition, the two nations would always be partners. In London, Ben Avery, 9 News.
Fire has destroyed an historic wooden mosque along the Bosporus Strait in Istanbul. Firefighters blasted the flames with torrents of water from the land and sea, stopping the blaze from spreading to the forest behind the 17th century structure. 10 coronavirus patients in ICU have been killed in a fire in northeastern Romania. 7 were critically injured, including a doctor who tried to save people in his care. The health minister says the blaze was likely sparked by a short circuit. However, a criminal manslaughter investigation has been launched. Hundreds of protesters have been arrested in a violent crackdown in Belarus. Police used rubber bullets and stun grenades to disperse crowds gathering against President Lukashenko. That is Lukashenko. Tension escalated after an anti-government demonstrator died. He'd been beaten by several men believed to be plain-clothes officers. Lukashenko. My apologies to the president. Well, in its 100-year history, there hasn't been a tougher year for Qantas. Planes grounded and thousands of staff stood down. But today, the world's oldest airline celebrated its past and expressed the hope that in coming months, it'll begin to recover.
For an airline that came into being just after the 1919 Spanish flu.
Happy birthday, Qantas!
It took another pandemic to dampen its 100th birthday party.
There has been no tougher year for aviation this year. 95% of the world's fleet has been grounded. Aviation has taken a massive hit that we've never seen before.
Qantas started off as a mail service in outback Queensland. 23-year-old Ivy McLean, the first female passenger in-flight service, was shared tea from a thermos. By the 30s, new planes and the flight to England took 2 weeks. In the years that followed, there were constellations and flying boats that flew to Singapore.
Welcome to the Qantas Flying Boat Base in Rose Bay, Australia's first international airport, right here on Sydney Harbour.
The jet age in Qantas gave the world business class, emergency escape slides. Its jets evacuated hundreds from Darwin after Cyclone Tracy. For 50 of those 100 years, Captain William Burns, the airline's longest-serving pilot. He's flown them all, from the 747 to the A330, and he's been everywhere.
Amsterdam, Belgrade, Rome, Paris, London, all those romantic spots.
And what he misses the most, having passengers on the flight deck.
It just made their trip. I'm sure they probably still talk about it, those that still survive us to this day.
So, some birthday party. 200 Qantas planes grounded around the world. International flights virtually now at 0. But hope is on its way. It's expected that by the end of the year, Qantas domestic will have reached between 50 and 60% capacity. This evening, 100 guests will board this Dreamliner for a 100-minute joy flight, including a low-level pass down the harbour. One of the passengers, 100-year-old Tom Sample.
Having to celebrate with all these other people here from Qantas, it's something I'll never forget.
A fly past for the most iconic brand in the country. Mark Burrows, 9 News.
A Labrador has been pulled from floodwaters in Mexico. Spotted by the Marine Secretary clinging to a balcony, when the boat pulled up, the dog tried to climb onto the vessel, but needed a helping hand to escape the water. The lucky pooch was then carried to safety. A little bit of indignity, but not too bad. An explosion in social media usage has seen cyber abuse skyrocket. Next, the one piece of advice that will shock some parents. The new hits and old faithfuls that are this year's hottest toys for Christmas. And check out the sweet names for 2 lolly favourites.
Inside Cottage 3, Australia's nursing home disgrace. The damning document confirming an outbreak of scabies. A current affair next.
If you're worried about your actions or relationship, contact Men's Line for free confidential advice and counselling, online and by phone 24/7. There's no place for abuse or domestic violence. Help is here. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Do up the trailer, car and boat at Wholesale Paint Group.
Don't pay big bucks, do it yourself thanks to our advice and tools. Do your car for under $800. Restore your boat, restore your trailer. All the gear you need for your job. Low prices here in Darwin.
DIY, but from spray. Get the best results when you do it our way.
Coonawarra Road, Darwin.
Wholesale Paint Group.
For the wet and dry season, Yeti is built for the NC. Camping World and Complete Angler are your authorised Yeti dealer. Our huge Yeti display holds the cold and keeps the heat. Find the right Yeti cooler or drinkware for your next outdoor adventure. From Ramblers to Tundras to the irresistible Yeti Colster can coolers. Beat the territory heat and step up to the real thing. Your Yeti authorised dealer is Camping World and Complete Angler Darwin.
Wake up, kids, we've got the dreamer's disease. Age 14, we got you down on your knees. So polite, you're busy still saying please. But when the night is falling and you
By my side through the lows and highs, every single time you were by my side.
The MacArthur River Mine, producing minerals for products we use every day, creating job opportunities, developing lifelong skills, remote regions, supporting community projects, investing in locals, nurturing future generations. How are they all connected? Through one natural resources company, Glencore. Discover how we're connecting possibilities every day.
Don't just get a forklift, get Toyota's legendary reliability. Get world-leading safety. Get more uptime.
And get more value for your business.
Don't just get a forklift, give your business the Toyota advantage.
Tuesday in an all-new RBT, a 4-day festival.
Hello, boys and girls.
Has these rockers on the highway to hell.
Many people been done? Oh, yeah.
But
really? Yeah.
Just how much has this rock band taken? New RBT, Tuesday on 9.
Social media use has skyrocketed in lockdown, and so has online abuse. Youth cyberbullying has soared by more than 30% since March. And the government is demanding action from popular platforms like Facebook and TikTok. Reid Butler has more.
For Jacqueline Rowan's young family, technology is second nature, and as her children grow up, cyber safety is front of mind.
You really just need to be able to know who they're talking to and how much time they're spending on there. It can be really overwhelming.
It's a totally different world, and that's why parents feel a bit at a loss.
While the pandemic has kept us home, we've increasingly relied on our phones. Social media use in Australia has climbed 30% this year. Newcomer TikTok has reported the biggest spike.
I know for me, I have to put limits on the time that I use on social media because I can find myself scrolling through TikTok for 3 hours at a time.
The explosion in usage has also triggered a dramatic rise in cyber abuse.
Online we can see outright aggression, people saying harsh things to one another, but also in things such as people sharing stories and rumours.
According to the government's e-Safety Commission, there's been a 32% increase in youth cyberbullying since March, a 49% rise in adult cyber abuse, and a 172% climb in image-based abuse.
Which is the non-consensual sharing of intimate images online.
It's led to calls for the big social media companies to act.
There's no other industry in the world that has the vast financial resources that they have. The missing ingredient, I believe, is clearly the corporate will.
The advice for victims is to always speak up, tell someone about the abuse. As for parents, they should treat their children's online world as if it were their real one, because in 2020, they're one in the same.
Also, we recommend asking a friend to back you up and help you if you're experiencing some hate, to report it for you, to stand up against it.
Reid Butler, 9 News.
Allen's Redskins and Chicos aren't no more, with Nestle confirming they've been renamed. Now known as Red Rippers and Cheekies, the company says the old names were out of step with community values, but the packaging will only slightly change, so us lolly lovers can still find our favourites easily. End of year festivities are rapidly approaching, which means Christmas shopping's on our never-ending to-do list. Tonight, we have the toys topping this year's wish lists, and some might surprise you.
Santa's busy making his list. Boys and girls everywhere are certainly creating their own. For the rest of us, consider this a bit of a cheat sheet.
The Bluey range has got everything from books, cups to bikes, trucks, beds and household furniture.
The cartoon blue healer is big business, and Toys R Us expects practically anything in the Bluey range to be a top seller this season. Coming in at number 2 on their gift list, an old favourite in Lego, with another throwback, electric cars on a figure-8 track rounding out the top 3.
The Bosch Deluxe workbench, that's a big item, as well as some of the Barbie role play sets, the kitchen activity centres. They're, $60, $70, but they have a lot of value for that money, size-wise and play-wise.
At the most affordable end of the scale, $20 Paw Patrol and Frozen 2 garden sets are already proving popular. During our 2020 pandemic, the toy experts say families are changing the way they shop.
Games and toys that facilitate quality time with friends or family.
We're told classics like wooden easels and toy diggers are still in. But if you want to give the kids something flashy, these high-tech Laser X Revolution blasters are certainly hard to miss. Don't worry, there's plenty for the big kids too. For the fitness and tech fanatics, what about these Bose Frames audio sunglasses, playing your personalised soundtrack as you strut your stuff?
We've got anything from small novelty games, $10 up to $8,000 to $10,000 on a terrace TV.
Sally Guyett, 9 News.
He is one of Queensland's favourite footy players and now a respected commentator. So when people started asking Paul Fatty Vorton about a very visible red patch on his face, he decided to share his frightening health scare so others might benefit.
It's always a pleasure reminiscing with old footy mates.
So here we are, this is at the end of 1984 in Sydney.
Even if there is some ribbing to be had.
Mate, you've got the biggest ice pack I've ever seen on a fingernail.
I was about to put it on your knee. Jokes aside, Fatty and I are catching up about something far more serious. That big red patch on his face.
Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I look like Frankenstein. My face just virtually started to fall apart.
It's all down to a brush with skin cancer. Fatty deciding to get a suspicious-looking patch on his right cheek checked out when it wasn't healing.
So I went to my GP. He said, don't like the look of it. Did a biopsy, and the biopsy came back about to turn cancerous.
The 61-year-old immediately told to use a skin cream that destroys precancerous and cancerous cells. It's applied for a few weeks, the redness and peeling all part of the process.
So that's basically the story, Wal, and I've been on the cream and I've been hiding under the bed for a few weeks, and I've just sort of started to come out now, and I'm lookable at now.
Fatty lookable? Well, that's debatable. Sorry, my friend, there's an important message here, and one my formidable teammate wants to cut through.
Put your hat on, Chip.
The sun takes its toll on our skin.
Whether it's on top of your head, on your leg, on your arm, whatever, if you see something you don't like the look of, a mole that's changed colour, something that won't heal, then it's pretty easy. Go to your GP.
Fatty's skin will heal in a couple of weeks, and in the meantime, that means a little more sport with me.
It's unclear.
It's unclear who it is,
actually. The king, once again, taking
Very
all the
unclear.
accolades. Oh, look at me. I got another man of the match.
I think I've heard this story before.
A couple of old champs there, that is for sure. Well, from also rans to finals contenders, what's behind Wanderers' anti-FL rise this season? That is next. Plus why former Maroons captain Cameron Smith is calling for a coaching change. And Queensland's other Cam Smith breaks an 80-year record at the Masters.
Australia's sinking home scandal. Angry families blame council over a faulty stormwater pipe for destroying their houses. A current affair next.
Barbecues galore Darwin at 660 Stewart Highway, Berrima, next to Amart. Entertaining this season, Barbecues galore Darwin have the big brands in modern outdoor living. And now, compare the largest Ziegler and Brown range in Darwin. Explore your own new flavours with Barbecues Galore's range of offset smokers and low and slow barbecues. Stock up on wood pellets, wood chips or marinades and proudly share your new flavour profiles. See the huge range at 660 Stewart Highway, Berrima, next to Amart. Barbecue better with Barbecues galore Darwin.
Territorians are feeling isolated and uncertain.
I just lost my job.
I can't get home to see my family. I had to close my business.
Everyone is affected in different ways. Team Health are committed to supporting all Territorians during this difficult time through their dedicated phone support line, Team Talk. The experienced people at Team Talk are here to listen and offer advice and support. We can help. Call Team Talk 1-800-TEAM-00.
Inspired to upgrade your slice of paradise? Come into Murray Oakley Discount Electrical Retrovision, Darwin's top-end cooking specialists with the latest ASCO Elements range and other great brands. AEG, Smeg, Electrolux, Westinghouse, Beko, Chef and more. And Murray Oakley Retrovision is Darwin's authorised Control 4 dealer for fully integrated home automation. Make your home the smartest on the block with Murray Oakley Discount Electrical Retrovision at 508 Stewart Highway in Winnellie.
Need a cleaner for your home or office in Darwin? You know, someone reliable, affordable and up to standard. Look no further than Ronnie's Cleaning Service. Ronnie is your local cleaning contractor and make sure your cleaning is done right first time, every time. Just sit back and let Ronnie keep your home or office the way you love it. Call 0403 990521. Visit us online at ronniescleaning.com.au or find us on Facebook.
I got a good feeling. Feel it in my bones, gotta shake it out. I'm going harder than before, let me hear you shout. I run around the whole world.
Superstore optometrist to ask about Transitions brand lenses.
Auto paint and accessories at Wholesale Paint Group. DIY, but from spray. Get the best results when you do it our way.
Coonawarra Road, Darwin.
Wholesale Paint Group.
Murder, mysterious death, adultery,
extraterrestrial activity.
What more could you want?
Midsummer Murders, tonight on 9Jam.
This sports report brought to you by Harvey Norman. Shop online, mobile or in-store today.
Wanderers have put the NTFL competition on notice after they thrashed Darwin Buffaloes in their top-of-the-table clash. Only percentage separates new ladder leader Nightcliff and the Eagles, a mix of strong recruitment and hard work paying dividends for the club.
A win over ladder leader, the Buffaloes, and the club's first Nungalinga Cup in NAIDOC week. Wins don't come much better than that for the Eagles.
Pretty special. Yeah, it's really good to get the win. We had a really big week in the track.
The 50-point victory, a clear message to their rivals. Wanderers are determined to still be in the game come the business end of the season. Although their current vein of form is no fluke, a strong pre-season and the injection of an impressive southern contingent, a key part of the recipe for success.
So much fun. We've enjoyed the last 2 months here. Me, Brody and Hodgie moved up from Victoria, so no, we're absolutely loving it.
St Mary's leapfrogged Waratah into 4th spot after they prevailed by a couple of goals in their round 7 clash. Debutant Dylan Tarksong confident the green and gold's depth will hold them in good stead as they prepare for this week's clash with Tiwi Bombers.
It'll just be the same footy from us, just improving every week. We've had a few changes. We had a good couple of boys today in the Div 1, so hopefully they push through.
The Bombers remain winless but battled hard in their showdown with Southern Districts. Scores were levelled late in the match before Crocs forward James Bell kicked the winning goal.
I feel pretty good about the win and the win that the boys got. It was well deserved. Went hard all through the game.
Palmerston's Matt Dennis and Mac Rivet from Nightcliff shared best on ground honours in the Warren Berto Memorial game, where the Tigers took the points. Ainsley Koch, 9 News.
The Buffettes have opened up a 6-point buffer over the 4th-placed Southern Districts after their round 7 win over Wanderers. The Yellow and Blue unable to recover from a slow start going down by 17 points.
Just that first quarter what lets us down. It's just like we don't switch on straight away, but once we get the ball rolling, we set up what we're doing. We just cracked on and we nearly got the win.
I was a bit scared in the last quarter they were coming back, but we were able to hold on just that last bit.
The Buffettes have lost just one game so far this season in the Women's Premier League. The damage control continues at Collingwood, with coach Nathan Buckley admitting he and the club could have handled their trade dealings better. It was a rather contrite Buckley that spoke today.
While Adam Treloar's new teammates were putting in the work at the Whitten Oval, for Treloar himself, a day out of the spotlight. The focus instead very much on Collingwood and coach Nathan Buckley, who admits he did push his star out the door.
We had to. This was the time that we needed to stop pushing our pain into the future and take it all in one gulp now.
One of the sticking points for Treloar, aside from being jettisoned from a 5-year contract, a phone call in which he believed Buckley told him the senior players were saying he was no longer wanted, a claim the coach still denies.
Clearly there's something in my communication that has failed there for Adam to feel that. I understand entirely where it's come from and I needed to be better in that regard.
But amid a number of other admissions, Buckley maintained there is a brutal reality.
It's our determination that we've actually let players go that we can replace. It's our determination, with our knowledge that we've actually let players go that will not damage the fabric of our playing group.
But unfortunately for the Magpies, any proof they still stand side by side won't come until next season. Ayrton Woolley, 9 News.
The most capped Maroons player of all time believes the QRL should part ways with Wayne Bennett after this year's Origin series. Former Queensland skipper Cameron Smith's also responded to requests to play a farewell season with the Broncos or Titans.
He's rewritten the record books, but is there still one more chapter to come in the career of Cameron Smith?
It's not going to be about picturing myself playing in a different jersey or for a different club. It's about whether I want to make that commitment to play again. And if it is, and if it's at another club, then I'll have to adjust to that.
Smith is certain Queensland can win Wednesday's Origin decider in Brisbane, believing the travel toll swings things in the Maroons' favour.
Travelling day of the game, it's a challenge. It takes a lot out of you. The tables are turned now. The boys are up here in camp and they're going to be well settled.
We need to be a lot better. We need to be a lot smarter. But I think we could all admit we were probably 10% off last week.
Regardless of the result, Origin's most capped player thinks Queensland should part ways with Wayne Bennett after the series, based on seeing his Storm coach try to juggle Origin and club commitments.
It affected Craig a little bit when we beat him 3 series in a row. I'd probably try and make it a standalone role, just because of how big Origin is now. There's a lot of commitments outside of the game.
When the Maroons run out here at Suncorp Stadium on Wednesday night, it'll be the first ever Origin match on this hallowed turf for 10 members of the Queensland squad.
Sometimes just jumping in the deep end's the best way to do it, and I feel like that can work in our favour this week.
Adam Jackson, 9 News.
The other Cameron Smith making news today was the Queensland golfer who became the first player in Masters history to post 4 rounds in the 60s at Augusta. Unfortunately, his score of 15 under was only good enough for second place, Dustin Johnson winning his first green jacket by 5 shots.
Cameron Smith.
4 shots back in the final round, Cameron Smith needed a strong start, and he got it by birdieing holes 2 and 3.
Great shot.
A bogey on the 5th was rectified by another birdie on 7 with an all-or-nothing shot through the trees.
That is unbelievable.
Then following that up with a 9-iron from the Pine Needles to cut a 3-under front 9.
He has done it again.
This could be really good.
But his run stalled with a bogey on 11, allowing Dustin Johnson to extend his lead by birdieing 3 holes on Amen Corner to finish 20 under par, 5 shots clear of Smith.
The long-awaited Masters has a long-awaited champion.
I'd take 15 under around here the rest of my career and I might win a couple.
The historic victory reducing Johnson to tears.
Jesus. I guess I can't even talk.
Tiger Woods had trouble gathering himself on the golf course with a rare collapse on the par 3 12th.
Oh boy.
Hitting 3 balls in the water and ending up with his first ever 10 on his scorecard. While today ended in disappointment for Cameron Smith, he and the other Aussies will only have to wait 5 months for another chance at a green jacket, with the Masters set to return to its regular date in April next year. At Augusta National, Tim Arvia, 9 News.
Australia's cricketers aren't concerned about the Adelaide Test despite the COVID outbreak in South Australia. Vice-Captain Pat Cummins says there are contingency plans in place for the series.
If we can fly over to the UK and play in a bubble over there, it shows that, we'll find a way, whatever it takes.
Australia and India are set to meet in the first test, December 17. Tasked with filling the biggest seat in supercars, Will Davison's wasted no time getting behind the wheel of Scott McLaughlin's Shell V-powered Ford Mustang. Davison putting the pedal to the metal at Queensland Raceway today as he looks to continue the dominance of the Dick Johnson Racing team. Ainsley's got your full weather report right after the break. And Ainsley, I've been hoping for some rain. Is it coming?
Paul, the Bureau is predicting showers and some possible storms across Darwin from tomorrow, but it's looking like those hot and humid conditions will stick around. I'll have all the details for you next.
Nine News Darwin, proudly brought to you by TIO, insurance for Territorians.
Inside Cottage 3, Australia's nursing home disgrace. The damning document confirming an outbreak of scabies. A current affair next.
Got an old commercial pressure washer needing an upgrade? Whether it's 10 years old or not working at all, now's the time to trade in your old commercial pressure washer and save. Get up to $1,500 trade-in discount across a range of Karcher's hot and cold commercial pressure washers. And if eligible, take advantage of the government's instant asset write-off. Whether it's cleaning the truck or heavy-duty farm machinery, Karcher has the right equipment to do the job. Visit NT Fasteners Coolalingga today. For all your forklift needs and access solutions, sales, hire, service and parts. Think local, think United in Darwin. Call 131 607.
The Barbecues Galore Darwin showroom with the big brands in modern outdoor living. Compare the Ziegler and Brown range, plus offset smokers and low and slow barbecues. See the huge Barbecues Galore's showroom at 660 Stewart Highway, Berrima.
Love to buy Australian made? Well, Beds R Us have made it easy because every mattress on our website is made right here in Australia. Prefer a store with more? Come in and see us at your locally owned Beds R Us store.
Stangelin knows Michael always keeps a clean home because his family video calls him every week. At Southern Cross Care, knowing what's important to you means we can tailor our home support services to help you live better for life in your own home.
Steel Line can re-roof your place with quality Colorbond steel roofing that'll increase value and last for ages. A service over and above that on everyone else. See the local re-roof experts at Steel Line.
This weather alert brought to you by Fridgelec, your Dakin air conditioning specialists.
Hello again. It was another hot and humid day in the top end, and a little bit of rain would have helped keep that humidity at bay. Tomorrow it's looking like Darwin will see a little bit of rain and even possible storms on the way. Today Darwin reached a top of 36 degrees. Right now it's 34 in the city. Taking a look at the satellite, a trough extends from northern WA through southwest Queensland to central New South Wales with a patchy mid-level cloud band and a few embedded storms along its path. For the capitals tomorrow, Perth will be cloudy and 24 degrees. Sunny in Adelaide, a top of 24. Melbourne partly cloudy and 20. Hobart mostly sunny and 19 degrees. Canberra, a top of 24. Sydney 21 and a shower or two developing in Brisbane, reaching 31. Back home tomorrow it's going to be another hot day. Katherine mostly sunny and a top of 41.
Partly cloudy in Tennant Creek, a top of 39. Alice Springs, a bit of morning dust about, and 33 degrees. Yulara sunny and 37. On the Darwin Harbour, seas around 1 metre, variable about 10 knots, becoming north to northwesterly 10 to 15 knots in the middle of the day, then tending west to northwesterly in the late evening. A low tide of 0.12 metres just before 1 p.m. A high tide of nearly 8 metres at 7:20. Time to check out our catch of the day. Christopher McGregor caught this 1 metre queenie off saltwater arm. He says the fish put up a spectacular fight and was released a short time later. Don't forget to send your catch of the day entries to newsphotos@9.com.au. In Palmerston tomorrow, a possible early storm and 37 degrees. Similar conditions in Humpty Doo. Expect a top of 36 in Darwin tomorrow, showers on the way. So for the next 7 days in Darwin, possible storms are expected and more hot days hovering around the mid-30s. So it's looking to be a week of rain, PT, so you better get that umbrella ready.
Well, I just won't hold my breath at the moment, but thank you, Ainsley. See you tomorrow. Well, a pigeon had a European auction in a flap. This is a pigeon when it sold for an astonishing $2.6 million. The sum for the 2-year-old racing bird called New Kim set a new world record. The pricey pigeon only raced for a year before being retired. Roast and a few winter vegetables. Pigeons, beautiful. That's it from us. See you tomorrow at 6. Good night.